First is HTML. You have to best practices of HTML code. In HTML parts, use of Semantic HTML. Semantic HTML or semantic markup is HTML that introduces meaning to the web page rather than just presentation. For example, a less than p greater than tag indicates that the enclosed text is a paragraph. This is both semantic and presentational because people know what paragraphs are, and browsers know how to display them. Use of validation in HTML. HTML form validation is a process of examining the HTML form page's contents to avoid errored out data being sent to the server. This process is a significant step in developing HTML-based web applications, as it can easily improve the quality of the web page or the web application. The form will either alert the user that they messed up and need to fix something to proceed, or the form will be validated and the user will be able to continue with their registration process. Use of accessibility in HTML. This means using the correct HTML elements for their intended purpose as much as possible. You might wonder why this is so important. After all, you can use a combination of CSS and JavaScript to make just about any HTML element behave in whatever way you want. Use of SEO in HTML. Search engine optimization, or SEO, is the process of improving your website so that it achieves a higher ranking in search engine SERPs, and so that more search engine users click on your website listing in the search engine results. Second one is CSS. Use of CSS in HTML. CSS is the language for describing the presentation of web pages, including colors, layout, and fonts. It allows one to adapt the presentation to different types of devices, such as large screens, small screens, or printers. CSS is independent of HTML and can be used with any XML-based markup language. CSS Flexbox layout allows you to easily format HTML. Flexbox makes it simple to align items vertically and horizontally using rows and columns. Custom properties, sometimes referred to as CSS variables or cascading variables, are entities defined by CSS authors that contain specific values to be reused throughout a document. How do you transition in CSS? CSS Transitions provide a way to control animation speed when changing CSS properties. Instead of having property changes take effect immediately, you can cause the changes in a property to take place over a period of time. The GreenSock Animation Platform (GSAP) is a popular set of JavaScript tools for building animations on the web. Anything you see in your web browser can be animated with GSAP. Anime.js is a lightweight JavaScript animation library with a simple, yet powerful API. It works with CSS properties, SVG, DOM attributes, and JavaScript objects. What does responsive mean in CSS? Responsive design is an approach to web page creation that makes use of flexible layouts, flexible images, and cascading style sheet media queries. However, media queries, a feature of cascading style sheets (CSS), allow the developer to specify when a certain style takes effect. A mobile-first website is always responsive, but a responsive website isn't always mobile-first. The former is a technical approach, while the latter is an intentional design choice centered around understanding how people interact with mobile devices differently than desktops. By using REM CSS units, components will change size when the root font size changes, giving developers another method of responsive design. CSS viewport is defined as the visible area on a window screen which refers to the displays of the mobile devices. A fluid layout is a type of web page design in which layout of the page resizes as the window size is changed. We use media queries to create a responsive navigation menu that varies in design on different screen sizes. Which framework use in CSS? A CSS framework is a library allowing for easier, more standards-compliant web design using the cascading style sheets language. Most of these frameworks contain at least a grid. CSS frameworks offer different modules and tools. Grid, especially for responsive web design. Tailwind CSS is basically a utility-first CSS framework for rapidly building custom user interfaces. It is a highly customizable, low-level CSS framework that gives you all of the building blocks you need to build bespoke designs without any annoying opinionated styles you have to fight to override. The CSS framework in front-end development is called Bootstrap. It is free, open source, and is mainly designed to develop mobile applications in the front end. The CSS framework in front-end development is called Bootstrap. It is free, open source, and is mainly designed to develop mobile applications in the front end. The CSS and JavaScript templates are used for typing, buttons, navigation, and other interacting components. What is CSS Preprocessor? A CSS preprocessor is a program that lets you generate CSS from the preprocessor's own unique syntax. There are many CSS preprocessors to choose from. However, most CSS preprocessors will add some features that don't exist in pure CSS, such as mix-in, nesting selector, inheritance selector, and so on. SCSS is the second syntax of Sass, syntactically awesome stylesheet that uses brackets instead of indentations. PostCSS is a tool for transforming CSS with JavaScript plugins. It provides features via its extensive plugin ecosystem to help improve your CSS writing experience. You can pick the plugins you need or even write a custom one for yourself. However, using modern CSS and styled components to build modern responsive websites and UIs with HTML5, CSS3 and Sass. More tools of ultimate in-depth front-end roadmap plus free resources. On next part of video. Thank you so much for your support.